All right, so welcome to another episode of Conversation Inc. Tonight is really special for me because I would be meeting with someone who I have looked up to for quite some time, Mr. David Roberts. And he has a lot of accolades, and I'll let Kersha go into the details of the accolades. But I'll give my story of how I would have first seen David.
Right.
So back in the day as a youth man, I think I was still in secondary school. My foot always hurt. And I didn't really know much. So I was living in Davide at the time. So the closest night spot to me was living room.
Right.
So I used to go up in living room or whatever. You know, I had a couple of brethren used to link me inside. And I used to see this man in a blazer in the club. I didn't understand him, you know. Everybody else wearing a little jersey, you know, baggy pants. This man in a blazer. I said, but he had to be professional. And notice how he carrying about himself too, you know. He doing his little thing. Some other time I see him on the mic. I said, but he's a DJ too? What? So he making money from this thing? I said, that's the code. That's the code, man. I had to crack it. Later in life, I got introduced, but at that point, we never really, talked a lot. I actually don't even know how we end up talking plenty. I just knew that, like, at key moments, David and I would have met. I remember when David was doing a lot of, like, management with, like, facilities and helping the community and so on. I know David's from Maloney. Growing up in Davide, I didn't live in Maloney, but I would have gone to Maloney a lot. Actually, at some point, I had a girlfriend live in Maloney. I'd be playing football there. So, that was something that I looked at as well. I know he would have done some work with Chris Graje. I would have reached out to him when I was doing Campus Carnival, and Campus Carnival got cancelled, and I really wanted to still find a way. So David has been that find a way person. Hey, David, I have this huge, seemingly insurmountable obstacle in life. Could you give me some advice on how I could find a way? So that has been my experience, with David. So you can now talk about all your academic.
No problem. Let me say welcome to David. Just like you, I actually met David many moons ago in a youth camp.
Okay, nice.
We actually went to the Church of the Nazarene together, and we have connected there. And over the years, didn't see him for a little while. Connected again through the Arthur Lockjack Global School of Business, because he would have done his MBA with the Lockjack GSB. Very much involved in management for probably over 15 years now, David.
Yeah.
Over 15 years, and he's currently doing his Doctor of Business Administration. You would definitely have to help me with the name of that school, but he is pursuing doctoral studies in management, and he's also the CEO of TTT Limited. David, it's so good to have you here with us on Conversation Inc.
Thank you very much, and it is indeed a pleasure to be here, Ken and Kersha. I'm glad to be here.
So David, share with me, how does one go from being a DJ in Maloney, wearing blazers in the People and Them party, to now CEO of TTT? Can you help me understand in terms of your transition?
One step at a time. Funny enough, your neighbor Ken, traveling, would always say to me over the years that, David, I've never seen you anywhere looking unprofessional. So it's funny that you told that story about wearing the blazers at living room, which I don't remember. But now that I think about it, I may have had a few blazers that I wore. But he always spoke about the way that I carried myself. And for me, Kersha, that journey has been a long one, but it has been one that I think I was always destined for, and I always did what was required for the next step.
Right.
So me getting into music and playing music with Zygon and all of that was really about my passion for music. And my mother would tell me the story of me beating on the Crixton at that time and making noise, and my parents sending me to Pan Pipers in St. Augustine to do music.
Right.
You spoke about meeting at the Nazarene Church. I played drums at the Davide Church of the Nazarene. I played drums in the QRC Scout Band in National Youth Orchestra. I was a percussionist there. So that transition to Zygon, after being exposed to music in Maloney through Skull, It wasn't Junior Mafia then, it was Thunder Songs and Rhythm Nation, which is Keenan's dad.
Wow.
Was really the forte into music, right? And then I always loved business. So being a part of a song system in school and generating money was very important for me. So I was generating money while going to school and playing in that music and just looking at it, okay, how do I expand my reach in this space? So it went into production of radio ads, it went into a bit of promotion, it went into wristbands, it went into promo items, it went into how can I get the most bites out of this cherry?
Right.
You know? So much so that when people see me at events now, they will come jokingly and ask if I've invested in the event. I said, no, I just come out to support
Just
somebody,
relax,
I just come
right.
out to support Ken or come out to support Keisha. But people don't believe, after about a month or two ago I went. And I went just because I know it's been this long period where the industry has been locked down. And people trying a thing. So, I didn't want comps. I went and supported Lubes. I don't want comps, I don't want no listing. How much is it per person? And we went and we had brunch. So for me, it's always just figuring out where I wanted to be at the end game. And in playing music, I saw some of the older DJs in this space, very old. I mean, I wouldn't call names, but I just didn't want to be them. In terms of old and being out there.
Doing the same thing.
Yeah, I wanted to only play music if I really wanted to play music.
Right.
So in the back of my mind, as good as we were at the time, I always focused on what was required to take me to the next step. So what was required outside of the music thing in terms of management planning. So preparation, studying, getting work experience, not losing sight of what was important, would have been some of the things that really took me along the journey, and the journey continues.
Okay, so at the secondary school level, tell us what secondary school, big up your whole secondary school.
That's easy. I went to QRC, Queen's Royal College.
All right.
Nice.
The only college to go to. I know Ken would differ.
I'm not even arguing.
You sure you don't want to get into it right now?
No, I'm not arguing. I just feel like this is David's episode.
So we're gonna just allow it to happen. No problem.
So David could take it away, because here's what I think, right? I think like each secondary school, they have like their legacy and their culture. So I really want us to kind of like see how like QRC's culture, fits within David's modus operandi today.
Okay, I guess.
Yeah, so for me, and QRC would have been very, very formative in terms of the person that I became. Because coming from Maloney, coming from the East, this exposure to this wide range of people, and if you have an appreciation for going to school in a community, everybody at Maloney government would have been living Maloney or environs.
Right.
So it's one conversation.
Yeah.
Whereas you go to QRC now, you have friends from St. Clair, friends from Grandi, Valencia, Chaguanas, San Fernando. It's a totally different conversation, totally different level of exposure. And then you now begin to interact with different types of people, uptown people, downtown people, around town people.
Right.
That really now start to shape the person that you are becoming. So that was very, very instrumental. Again, following with the music, joined the band there, performed well at music at QRC, but forged some really good friendships as well that really developed over time and grew.
Right. But did you have like an idea of what you wanted to do with your career? Long time they used to say, when I grow up, I want to be a CEO. I want to have my own business. What was your mindset like during those times, even though the love of music was right there?
For me, there was always an interest in business. Always. So from primary school, when I passed common entrance, the following year I did lessons. So when I was in Form 1, I was doing common entrance lessons in the community. So I remember my parents bought all of the inputs for me, the board, the chalk, the paper, everything, and I kept all of the profits. So it was a real nice business model.
Nice. We love it.
My mother was telling me the other day that I sold rubber bands that my dad will bring home to my cousins and friends in school.
Right.
I remember having a Chinese sausage business in QRC with Clark.
I love
my
it.
brethren from Zygon. So Chinese sausage. We will sell lollies for scouts. We will sell hot dogs. Jamak put me on to the Chinese queue hustle. So you'll buy the Chinese queue at that time, I think for either $6 or $8, and then you sell it back for $10. Right? But you needed somebody in sixth form to go and pick up the lunches for you, and you needed permission, of course, to leave school. So you had to pay them for the gas and to carry it. But Jamark was the one who put me onto that particular hustle. So always thinking about business. And I had a teacher, Miss Renrick, who recommended sciences, chemistry and bio, which I got a 5 and a 4 in, respectively. So a 5 in chem and a 4 in bio. And unfortunately, they list your results in alphabetical order. So when I open up my results, I saw bio and chem, and I closed back the results for O level because I saw 4 and 5, and I was trying to figure out where would I go with these results because I couldn't come home.
Wow.
But having done 9 subjects, I passed 7.
Okay.
And I would have performed very well in terms of the business subjects. So POA, POB, Econ. So that was a natural fit for me, and this is why I did business again at A levels at Gustin, and then why I went on to do the bachelor's in business, and then on to Arthur Lockjack. So for me, it was always something in business, something around business, something around management. For me.
All right.
Right, very nice. So, what piqued my interest, right, was that although you did a bit of science and you did a bit of business, you ended up like kind of focusing on business. So I know we have a bit more of your story to go, but like what advice would you give someone who's like at that point where, they're trying to decide between business and science and they're getting the advice from like their teachers and so on? Like, what would you tell them?
Some kind of cliche, boy, but look within. You get a lot of advice from outside, and people mean well. They really do. If I give you the personal example of my mom, and there's a cultural thing. My mom always found that I like money. She's like, oh gosh, you like money, you like money. Yeah, I like money. So let me do the things that will allow me to get money.
Right.
So I say that because sometimes it's family saying, hey, don't like this, Ken.
Right.
People shouldn't like this, or don't like this too much, or money is the root of all evil. It's the love of money. The love of money. All right? Money is a very, very nice tool for you to assist others, for you to support others, for you to pull up others. All right? So for me, I would say to people, just look at what is important to you, what brings you joy, what comes naturally to you. And you're really trying to find the intersection between what you like, what you enjoy, and what somebody will pay you for. It doesn't have to be a job. It could be a customer.
Right.
So I always tell people when I was at Netco, a lot of people just have a hobby that they think is a business, but it's really a hobby.
Right.
You alone like it, nobody values it, they're not willing to pay you for it, they're not willing to engage you, but you really like it.
Right.
It's a hobby.
Yeah.
Right? You need to find that intersection, that nexus between what you like and what people are willing to pay for. And once you're bringing value, you'll get through. I mean, in 2021, going into 2022, the world is now a global space. So there are really no limits because of the internet. We can be here and we are attracting people globally to what we're doing. Once they connect with what we're doing and once there is some perceived value. So for me, it is, what are you good at? What comes naturally? And what is valuable in the market? And it may not be valuable immediately. Some things are ahead of their time. I know Ken has had more than one idea that have been ahead of the time, and that's fine.
Right.
That's fine. I mean, I have examples that I share in class. Jamark is another one. Right. Long before the success of e-ticketing, Jamark brought e-ticketing to Trinidad and Tobago. It was just ahead of its time. Right. He's probably look at it now and stoops, but it was just ahead of its time. So just stay on that curve. Just stay on that path. Just seek that satisfaction. As I said, it sounds cliche. But you'll be surprised what people extract value from or what people find valuable.
Yeah, but I feel like you gave a nice breakdown, so, it has that cliche line you kind of explain. And even for me, there's value in what you're saying, because I think like that ahead of its time is something that's real, because I always trying to like push the envelope. And recently I came out, on Instagram, right, my platform of choice. And I was like, I'm not really feeling to have events right now. And the reason why is because I just feel like this is not the climate to have that. And, I'm seeing that as a thought leader in the event space. I'm not telling anybody what to do, but I'm just saying like, you had to read the room. You have to be able to read the room.
Important.
And you want to drop this amazing concept. So like me, for instance, I have a couple of concepts that I love and I hold really dear. But I feel like, there are some things more important than just pushing your concept.
Right.
And then that now allows people who may have been doing that to kind of refocus their energy in different ways. And when you really look at things, in my industry, which is the event industry, this podcast is an event. It has a start time, it has attendees, so it has a setup. So you can apply this skill in many different ways. And then, when the time does come for you to, for the industry to open back up, it does make sense. So I think, that look within feedback is something that personally I could take in and different people could definitely, learn from.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, David, when you look at the fact that, going to QRC, being exposed to business, now doing a degree in business, going to your MBA, from that career perspective of now getting into a company or whether you are an entrepreneur, how then do you make that next step? What was that next step for you after that academic aspect of your life?
That is simple. To get in and manage people, I will tell you, I was doing my bachelor's and I did my bachelor's at SAM. And I was working at NP at the time. And as soon as I finished my bachelor's, I don't even think the ink dry on the certificate. I was like, I want to go and manage people.
Right.
Right. So I left NP and I went to the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs for 50% of my salary at that time. 50%.
Wow.
Right. I went to the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs as an assistant facility manager. I think I was 2005. And I remember the first month I got my salary, it's like I wanted to cry. And I called my cousin Collis in Tobago. And I say, boy, I'm feeling like I make a mistake, boy, this thing. And he said, what do you used to call you by NP? I said, what do you mean? He said, what do you used to call you? I said, David. And he said, what they calling you now by the ministry? And I said, Mr. Roberts. He said, well, that's the price of that. So he said, don't look at it in that tangible way.
Right.
The dollars and cents. And strangely enough, I had a conversation this week with a friend of mine who is looking at an opportunity that is going to pay him less than where he is now, but it is in line with what he's passionate about.
Right.
And I was able to share that personal story, and I said, I did it and I don't regret it, because down the road you're now able to amass significant experience in different areas.
That's big.
And you're able to now move along a path that if you focus wholly and solely on the money, you would not have been able to do that.
To get the opportunity.
So I tell people, don't work for money. And again, it sounds strange, it sounds cliche. You could say that because your money nice. That's not it. This is the mindset I've had.
Right.
Don't work for money. Don't work for money. Because in my journey, each career decision has led to the other.
Right.
So literally the job right before CEO for me encapsulated everything that I had to do as a CEO. And that was as corporate services manager at the ODPM.
Wow.
So I was responsible for finance, HR, IT, facilities, everything that you'd have to oversee as a CEO.
Right.
All right. And funny story, I applied for the CEO job at TTT in 2015 and never got a response.
Wait, so long?
Never got a response.
Wait.
Reapplied in 2020, got a response, had a very good interview, and I'm now in the job. So again, don't give up. If you think you can add value in a particular space, and I was confident that I could have added value in 2015.
Right.
I thought I could have turned the company around in 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, quite cocky of me.
And that's the thing, having the right time and right chance is very important. And that's a lesson learned, David, where you would have skill backed financially, but it propelled you into something more than you sometimes even could imagine. And that is not something that is really taught, because we always heard, go after the big things, go after the big position, make sure that you can rise above everything. But what if what you have to do, you just need to scale down to ensure that you are able now to get the skills, the knowledge, the things that will now help you to become the CEO that you need? That's not a conversation that we usually will have.
True.
But I'm glad that you were able to bring it up, because it means that I now need to start to think about, if I want to get to the CEO position, what are some things that I may lack? And the thing is, moving from NP to the ministry probably would have filled those loopholes that you did not have as an individual. And now you can sit here today, 2015, being denied or not even being contacted.
Yep.
And now 2021, having now to show persons, hey, I'm managing people.
Yeah. I want to add to that and say, like, you know, from an employer's perspective, you could always tell the difference, you know. You could tell the difference between the person who is waiting for the paycheck and the person who really there do. I don't know, like, and that's the thing, like, you know, of course, whoever watching this will either be an employer or employee or probably both. Like, yo, you could, it's just that easy to tell. And I only learned that from being an employer, you know. And I just try to dock the employees. Like, I actually willing to pay the people who passionate more than me trying to, like, give the people who not passionate less money. So even so this is almost like a paradox or a catch-22.
Right.
You know? And that's and it has nothing to do with me as an employer wanting to pay you low, you know. It has more to do with your perspective on the job, how you're going to get it done, and when, in your opinion, the job is finished.
Right.
Yeah.
You understand? Because especially for this work I do, you had a pride in what you're doing. Imagine you're going to do a video for somebody and you have no pride in what you're doing. You're just trying to get a little paycheck. You're going to tell me video done. This time, whatever happening and finish happen, as far as you continue working till 6, you know, the moment is 6:02.
Yeah.
So, you know, so I think it's definitely something that you know, it has both sides of the coin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And the point that you're making there, Ken, is, and to Kersha's point, I think one of the things that I'll share is that just leave your signature on everything. And I think if you think consciously about the signature that I want to leave on this job that I'm doing, you're not going to do it in a short-changing type of way or in a haphazard manner. You're really going to think about, does this really represent who David is
Right.
as a person? Does this represent Ken? Does this represent Kersha? Is this the best version of me? And there are tough days, but those are the things that really force you to push. You know, there's an ongoing conversation I have with my wife. You know, just go the extra mile. It's never crowded there. Go the extra mile daily. It takes a lot out of you, you know. But those are the things that allow you to stand out. And I'll tell you, I sit here and I'll tell you without fear of contradiction, in any role that I've left, I'm invited to rejoin that company. Every time I go to NP, they ask me when I'm coming back. I say I'm not coming back here until I come back as CEO.
I love it.
Right? And that was years ago. That was to Miss Lashley. You know, so it is important for us to think about legacy. And we think about legacy in terms of years. So like when I'm old, what would happen when I look back? But think about legacy in each project. Think about legacy in each assignment.
Yeah, that's
Think
big.
about legacy in each day. Did I give my best today?
Yeah, and those
Right.
small things is what gonna make people
Make the big
decide
difference.
to work with you and pick you on a project or not, you know.
Right.
Alright, so welcome back. Now that we went anywhere. So yeah, so of course right now, you know, we're talking to David Roberts, the current CEO of TTT, and someone who I look up to, and he is telling us a little bit about his journey, but more from the perspective of how we could take salient points and little pieces of best practice so that we could apply to our own journey.
Definitely. So as a manager of people, because you spoke about the fact that right after your bachelor's degree,
One time.
the ink didn't even try no Ken, and he
time.
was ready to manage people. Now that you are in that position, what is that experience like for you, and what can you tell upcoming CEOs who have that same passion and drive like you?
So managing people is the most interesting part of the job. It's the most challenging part of the job. But one of the things that I learned very, very early in my management journey is taking the time to understand what motivates people. And that is very important. So you can't take it for granted that on a management team because people are on the same level, that they're motivated the same way. All right. The lesson for me was crystallized while I was a facility manager at the Maloney Indoor Sport Arena. And I would have a team of janitors. And there's one particular janitor who was motivated by money. So anything extra to be done, she'd be very interested. And there was another team member who was very motivated by appreciation and accolades.
Wow.
So I would always ensure that I praise her at the team meetings and that kind of thing. The other one, she don't care about that praise. You know, she wanted the dollars at the end of the day, right? And there's no right or wrong. There's no problem if you are either way.
That's perspective.
But yeah, it is the manager's job to figure out what motivates each person on your team, because you may have a Ken who is motivated by accolades and you're giving him overtime, and you have a Kershaw who's motivated by money and you're giving her the accolades, vice versa.
Yeah.
Right.
So it is very important for you to take the time very early on, and it's one of the first things I've done as a manager in any role. And I see you, it was no different. Meeting with my people one-on-one, asking them what they're passionate about, not taking it for granted that if I meet you as the finance manager, that's where you want to be. Figuring out exactly what you're passionate about, and also asking you, you know, what motivates you while observing. So it's very, very important, because at the end of the day, the leader's job on a very, very basic level is to motivate his team to get the best out of them, to get them working together, to advance the business. That's basically what you're doing. You're a choir conductor, right? Or you're a director. They're making sure that all of the chords come together in unison and it sounds marvelous. So that is, I think, very, very important. And you also need to keep your eyes on the fact that that can change. All right, particularly during this pandemic, someone who may have been very interested in accolades or encouragement may have had a change in their financial situation at home, and now are wholly and solely motivated by the financial realities that they face. So you also can't take that assessment that you've done when you first entered the space and hold on to that forever. So just really paying attention to your people, and really trying your best to show people that you care. I mean, for me, with a team as large as 190, it's difficult to maintain that touch point, but I do try. I chat with people throughout the company. This year, I sent everyone a Christmas card. Personally signed, not just my signature, but with a personal note. Just really thanking people for things that they would have done throughout the year. You know, because my position was, you know, I think it's the least that I can do. It took me a very long time.
Can you imagine?
But I felt that it was important, and the feedback that I got, you know, a lot of people reached out to say, thanks for this card, and thanks for these words. You know, it's important, and I can only imagine how difficult it is for CEOs in larger companies. So just, I would say, focus on your people, you know, focus on what motivates your people, and also understand what is happening in this space. This period has been a very, very challenging period. It's probably the most challenging period to be in a leadership position.
Correct.
Because everybody is facing some sort of challenge.
Right.
And I tell people, even people in our space at our company, their parents as well. So they are also simultaneously struggling with the online schooling. You know, outside of whatever we have going on in a space where we can't shut down, because we are communicating the Ministry of Health's message.
Right.
They are facing their own challenges, you know, and sometimes you feel as though there isn't time to deal with that. But the thing is, before being an employee, you're a human being.
Correct.
And if you are not wholesome for your family and wholesome for yourself, then you definitely can't be wholesome for the company.
Definitely. So when we look at the media industry at this point in time, in terms of future projections, where do you see media going for someone that is thinking about getting into that industry, especially from an academic standpoint, wanting to get into that type of career? Where is the media industry going?
Right, so the media industry is going far and wide. Media is about consumption patterns. Media has moved from traditional to what we used to call new media, which I think is just media now. You know, what we call new media with social media. But now the competition is not just the television and the radio. It is the screen. It is this podcast. You know, you're competing against everything. So it is not competition in terms of other media houses, but you're now competing for attention.
Right.
So literally anything that competes for attention is a competitor. So TTT Limited can list as a competitor Ken Sambry, because Ken is having events and that will take people's attention for 3 to 4
Right.
months.
From whatever we're doing, yeah.
So even if I compete against that with an online event, an online FET, there is a way for me to compete with Ken in that space.
Understood.
We can compete with the Arthur Lockjack Global School of Business in terms of providing education on air.
Right.
Or we can partner with the Arthur Lockjack Global School of
Because
Business.
that's what I was not going to say. I was not going to say, for me, where I see media is real exciting, because now you have all of these synergies that, even though it may have been possible before, now it's like so obvious.
Right.
Just as what
It's
David
clear.
is saying. It's like, okay, so I have this program, but then there's this concert happening at the same time. Why not just,
Collaborate.
yeah, like find a way, can we show this, can we bring it to a greater audience? They win, we win, we sell advertising spots, they get more people to see what they're doing, we don't have to worry about competing with them, and then, together as a community, we could move forward.
And that's where we're going. That's where we're going as a company. I am pinching myself here not to speak too much about our plans.
Right,
but we
no
are-
problem.
I'll say though that we are in the business of exporting Trinbago's culture.
Right.
All right, that's what TTT Limited is in the business of. So that will take many forms and many shapes as the time progresses. But I'll tell you that technology is playing a significant part in terms of how we are reaching audiences. And a lot of that will become clearer as the weeks and months go by. In terms of anyone who's interested in coming into media, I would say, again, coming back to what are you passionate about? If you are passionate about writing, reading, acting, storytelling, I've been asking a question about a year now, who are the best storytellers in Trinidad and Tobago? Because I think all that we do is storytelling.
Peregrine,
Yes.
Midnight Rubber,
All that we do is storytelling.
I find
Right?
that we have two traditional characters dedicated to storytelling. So, like, just from that perspective, storytelling is in our blood. Calypso, soca.
Yeah. Storytelling is at the heart of what we do. So I would say anyone who's interested in the literary arts, you're in a very good space. But again, with technology now, it's content creators. So it's even persons who like to cook.
Right.
Right, and just filming themselves cooking, people who play an instrument, so I don't think there's any limit. I think literally anything that you're interested in or any skill that you have, there is a space for you, because content creation is so broad.
Right.
And I hope to return TTT to the space where TTT once was, in that TTT did a little bit of everything, because at one point we were all we had.
Right.
So we were
Right.
everything in one.
Right.
So you'd get Mastana Bahar, you'll get 12 and under, you'll get news, panorama, you'll get everything in this one space, because it was the only space.
Can you imagine?
So I want us to get back to that space, and it may not be everything on television, maybe some things online, some things on television, some things on radio, but really now expanding where we are. So I would say any sort of skill that people have, just really figure out how do you curate that. And the point Ken was making earlier on is very, very valid. See how you can partner with people. So you may have the skills, somebody else is doing the videography and all of that. And I'm admired when I see Ken, very early in the pandemic, Ken is like, who want to split this Adobe with me?
Right.
Who want to split this with me? Who want to take, willing to trade some studio time? Who's willing to bring this? And that's the reality.
And how we get things done,
I
yeah.
have something that you have. How do we work together
To get it
to bring this thing to market, to create value out of what we're doing? And unfortunately, you're talking earlier, Kersha, about the conversations that we're not having, and that is a conversation that we don't have enough. I kind of blame primary school with this first place and second place and third place. And I would tell them at Lockjack, because I would share my work. After I do my work, I would share my work, and I was just that kind of person. And I'd say, come on, man, it have a distinction for everybody, or it have a A for everybody.
Right.
But it takes a while. And there are a lot of people in the workplace who have not transitioned out of first place, second place, third place, fourth place.
Right.
Everybody could come first. There's an A for everyone. CXC, O level. There's a pass for everyone
Correct.
who performs at a particular level.
Right.
Right? And life is like that. So find partners, stay true to what is important to you, just create value.
Yeah. So building on that, I know Kershaw was asking like how someone will get into the media and what the future of the media would be. But I want to know, TV is a glamorous thing. All of us would have grown up on it. Everyone wants to be on TV.
Right.
So let's say from a production perspective, I have a little camera and I have this dream of having a show on TV. This is like, honestly, this is like this big mystery question that everyone asks. So how do I get a show on TV?
Right. So we tried to demystify that earlier this year by having a call for content. So we did a call for content and we said, here's what, come at TTT and present us with whatever you have. And the response has been significant. We have some pieces of content that have made it on air already, but some people needed guidance in terms of whether it was repairs to the audio or some fixes with the video or the quality of that kind of thing. So we're at a point now where annually we will be having at least one call. I'm hoping for more, but at least one call for content so that persons can have an outlet.
Right.
You are right. I think it has been a mystery for some time. How do you go from one place to another? And just the model that has worked locally has made it difficult without sponsors.
What is that model? Tell us.
So the model is you literally have to buy the airtime traditionally. So traditionally you'd have to buy the airtime and then air your program. Airtime in television is very expensive.
So tell us, just for a ballpark, you don't have to give us exact. But okay, so I want 7 o'clock on Tuesday night. What's that like? Well, I can't get 7 o'clock, that's news time.
Yeah, that's news
Right,
time.
so 8 o'clock on Tuesday night. What was that like?
That would be in the range of something minimum 5,000.
Wow, 5,000 per episode.
5,000 per week.
Right.
Yeah, 5,000 per week. So when you look at an episode being on average, a season, being on average 11 to 13 episodes, then you can see how that racks up. And that's just airtime. You didn't talk about paying actors,
that's about
actresses,
60,
producers,
70,000. And then any production costs.
Right? You
Right.
didn't talk about any of that yet. So the model has been challenging for creatives to thrive in, to benefit from. And I remember making some adjustments when joining the company, recognizing that to say, okay, how do we create opportunities to get fresh content on? And I literally said to the team, here's what, I want the best set of content across Trinidad and Tobago. So say if that content is coming from Toco, we must get that content from Toco.
Right.
But I want a wide call. Because of course there are people who have ready material, but I said I don't just want ready material. Let us see what is out there in terms of ideas. And we will come with a call for concept. But the call for concept will come after, because of course the call for concept is further from the finished product.
Correct. So it takes more time to develop and so on.
The
and so
bias
forth.
for me is that I wanted content to put on here.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? So I want content to put on
Ready-made
here.
one side.
Yeah.
Right? So as close to ready-made as possible. But it was very important for us to get a wide cross-section of people coming in. And people, reached out to us saying how refreshing it was. And we started to see other media entities begin to embrace, at least to a greater extent than they've done in the recent past,
Right.
local productions.
Nice.
And I've said to the team, that is what we need to do, because we have a responsibility as state media to contribute to the creative sector.
Right.
Right? So we have formed a partnership with Film TT, who is working with creatives, and strangely enough, Film TT was over in the room looking in that direction, and they're looking for a platform.
Wow.
We are in the room looking in this direction, and we're looking for content.
Wow.
So I said to the GM at Film TT, I said,
Come
let's just face each
together.
other
Right,
and
right.
see what can happen. And as soon as last year Christmas, we were able to get a local Christmas movie on TTT last
That
year,
makes sense.
and the relationship has been very good in a continuous way and in a very very promising way that I hope is very very symbiotic as we go forward. So it is for us to create these opportunities. As I was telling you all, we're looking for content that represents not just Trinidad and Tobago but the Caribbean.
Caribbean, right. So building on that, I have another question. So the next question is, okay, how do you get paid from being on TV?
Sure.
So okay, I get your show there. All right. So Ken come. I come with my $5,000. So that's how I bring my $60,000. Boom.
Right.
So right, I'm paying for this time Tuesday 8 o'clock. But how I again paid? I had to give back my money. And I had to pay Kershaw. You know, Kershaw coming out every week.
Right.
Do she here? You see them eyebrows?
Very,
That's
very
real.
on point. We
That's
need to
real
make sure
money
that
for that.
things are
Hair
getting
twist and
done.
so
Yeah, yo. You understand? So,
Right.
how does that part work now? Tell me about the business of it.
So that side of it you'd get generally from sponsors.
And how you
Okay.
so sponsors will be already there in the station, or you go and get
Or
it
you
from
have to
outside,
seek
or
it.
So it'll be a mix. So there will either be those persons who we have as regular sponsors who we may be able to put in your time. And of course there's a ratio that works that way if we bring the sponsor. But we've also provided persons with the opportunity of bringing their own sponsors. So
Okay.
if they have persons who are interested in buying into the show, because at the end of the day, you have to be paid for the content, you know,
Right.
which is part of the challenge, which is why it's so difficult to access quality, locally produced content, is that, you know, generally it hasn't been very attractive in terms
Yeah.
of getting
Okay.
the return.
because I was not going to ask about the metrics, you know, because all right, so I'm going to like jam a lot of things in this little segment here, right?
Sure.
So okay, so I have to go buy a sponsor. So I say I want to go to buy the grocery out the road by me. So I have something to show them because I need to show them like, you know, this is your reach. This is like you all have some kind of metrics. How does that work?
So we'll show you the survey. The survey will tell you the times that we're number one, the reach of the station generally. So we do have some survey documents that we'll put together in a package that you can
Recent?
present. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not the industry-wide survey, but
Okay.
there's a provider that does a survey that we utilize.
Okay.
All of the media houses utilize that survey.
Okay.
And we also pull metrics from Facebook. So we're very strong on social media. And of course, you know, Facebook gives you
Yeah.
very, very good analytics.
Detailed.
Right.
I'll be able to tell exactly where people are from, how long they're viewing, the times that they're viewing, and that also informs when we put content on. So the social media info is actually a lot more informative, but I'm also very mindful that it's two different markets. That
Correct.
the television market is different from the
The
social media
media.
market.
Okay.
So I can't marry the two, but I'm always very, very pleased by the level of detail that we're able to get from social media.
So to be clear, you all go live using Facebook for some of the shows.
Yes, we do.
Right. What about other mediums like YouTube? I know now there's TikTok, Twitter. How do you all navigate as a media house all of these million platforms?
Right, so we use YouTube as well. We try to stay on top of what is trending, but we try to ensure that we do content that is specific to that platform.
Right.
Okay.
So we would have done the news team, would have done the You Wanna Bamba.
Right.
Right.
On the TikTok, in the
Right,
TikTok
right.
space, right? Because that's relevant to there.
So
And
it has a TTT profile.
no, that was one of the personalities shared.
Oh,
So
right. So,
TTT
okay.
proper is non TikTok.
Okay, cool.
But the brand is
Yai
there.
Lauren.
Yeah, so that's
right.
GR.
I did see
right?
it. Yes.
So we try to be very specific, and again, we've had some conversations in Twitter Spaces. Again, relevant to that space and market. We do go live on YouTube according to the piece of content.
So what it is.
And then we go on Facebook. But that is literally a decision that is made based on what the event is, based on the reach that we're trying to get.
Right.
And as I said, because we get the metrics from YouTube and Facebook, we're able to tell exactly where
Which
people
one is
are.
better?
It makes more
Which
sense.
one
Makes
is better for what we're doing.
Makes sense.
So next question for this little quick questions with Ken segment is, how do you deal with competition? Because it's not just TTT around. And when I was telling some of my friends in a little WhatsApp group I have there, I say, hey, you know, I want to put my show on TTT. Here, one now. She working at a little ad agency. I don't even know which agency she working, so I can't sell it out. What? People is advertised there? No, I can't carry your show somewhere else. What are you telling yourself? That's what you're telling me. That's what you're telling me. So how would you answer to that? How we deal with this competition going on? Because TTT kind of coming in. Yes, they were there first, but now TTT come like one of the newest. So how does TTT manage with the other conglomerates that also have with them newspapers and radio stations and so on as part of their conglomerate?
Right. So on competition, I'm very, very torn. I'm torn because part of me thinks that the company is not in competition because we have a responsibility, which is very, very different to the other stations in the market. So we have a responsibility, not just to the government, but to the citizens as a state broadcaster and as we view ourselves as a public broadcaster. But in saying that, I think there is a space that is uniquely TTT's that once we settle in it, competition will become irrelevant because it becomes our space.
It could be competitive,
Right.
yeah.
In that space, right? And that space for me is local content, local creation. Because as a model, we no longer use foreign content in the way that we used to under CNMG.
Right.
We would have bought some programs and became very similar to the others in the market. So what we'd want to become is really the destination for local content. And while others may show local content, we must be the home, the premier space,
Right.
The place that people come
I mean,
for what's
after all,
happening.
the name is TTT. I mean, you can't...
Right?
Like, from the time, I think, like, what has, just from the public looking on, Ken, as a member of the public, we would like to say that the name TTT holds a lot of significance to us, to our heart.
Yeah.
So I think we really do want to see the station live up to its name. We want to be proud and say, yo, this is TTT. And I think there's so much embedded within that. So I could see it really owning that space in a way that no other, media house is able to
Would
own
be
in
able
the
to.
same way. And that's what I feel about brands, just find your space. And once you find your space, it's like, everybody in our room, in this room right now, Kusha, you have your side of the couch, I have my side, David has his chair, everybody has their space.
And hold it well. So it means that local content creators will not have to think twice about, okay, where do we go to ensure that our content is being played?
They shouldn't
Where our
have to.
content, and I like the fact that you spoke about that we are looking to export Trinidad and Tobago, because that's one of the main things is what 1.4 million of us, the global village, is looking. So if our local content creators know that, hey, I can go to TTT and ensure that my stuff is being played, it becomes like second nature now. So that's really good.
And let me tell you, so firstly to Ken's point in terms of the space for TTT, we actually commissioned a survey last year, and when we asked participants about feelings about TTT or feelings about television stations, TTT was the only brand that was able to ignite nostalgia. It was the only station, and of course, because we were the only one.
Before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Right? The challenge is there's another generation that doesn't have that experience. All right. So, I mean, in going into the role, I had a real simple objective, and that was to make TTT relevant to this generation the way that it was relevant to me. Because
Right.
TTT was everything to me, because TTT was all I had when TV used to sign off. Right. And to Kersha's point about exporting our culture, there's an ongoing conversation that I have with the board and also the minister, not just about people within Trinidad and Tobago, but about the diaspora and also what we call diaspora adjacent, where people either have some sort of lineage to the Caribbean or to Trinidad and Tobago, or just some interest in our culture. So beyond our shores, there's a significant market that is interested in what we're doing,
Right.
and I am going to make a gamble that they're willing to pay something for
agreed.
access to meaningful content.
And
Right.
And that is the bet.
No, agreed.
that we're gonna
And I was going to say, like, from a content creator perspective, that's what's necessary. Because I think content creators, of course, we want everyone in Trinidad to be able to see our content. But we also feel like, as a content creator, in order to get the type of returns that we're looking for, we would have to be, let's say, too mainstream or too generic, if you may, versus if I want to operate in my niche, but I want to get the type of returns I am looking for, financial and otherwise, I definitely need this exported.
Right.
So let's just say I'm into anything, shoes. It probably just do have enough people right here who into shoes and way I into shoes to watch a program that is just about shoes. So I think as a result of that, now that to me is real special. And I think, I would like to encourage TTT and whoever else is looking at this to kind of find ways of embracing, the online platforms. And then also it will have whatever negotiations that could be done on behalf of content creators with other, broadcasting places to get the content really out there and reach like larger niches.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. David, I want to say thank you so much for sharing with us today. Especially not just from the perspective of your journey, but helping us to understand where media is going and what persons can look forward to. Usually I have this thing, I want to hear a quote or a joke from you.
A joke?
Usually we have usually we get the quote. I wonder if you could get it. Are you
David,
good
every
with
time she's
jokes?
making up a different thing.
Oh No, don't
Kusha,
say
do your thing.
that.
No,
Don't
David
say
cool.
that.
David is a cool one, you know. So I can tell him. And the thing is that's why I'm here on this book. You see, because I am the honesty guy.
Sure.
I come in.
So
Or, yes, David. Quote or joke? Let's
quote
not
or joke.
So for me, I'll share a quote. And the quote is one that I share with my team. And it is something that I believe in. And it's important for relationships. And it's important for teams in the workplace. And I say to my management team, if we all focus on today, we miss out on the best possible tomorrow for this company. And it really is just about persons in leadership having the mind space to think about where the business is going and not being bogged down with operational issues.
Right.
And it's very easy to get caught up in the day-to-day. But in being caught up in the day-to-day, you miss out on the best possible tomorrow that the company can have.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks a lot, David. We
Sorry
learned a
that I
lot.
didn't have a joke.
I mean, for me, it's about best practice. So I think joke or quote, something that will, me personally, I will try my best to. I'm actually going to share it with my team. I have a staff meeting tomorrow. Hot and spit everybody coming out at Christmas. I look to see you pour on £10 for me a little weekend. So I'm going to share that with them in the morning when they come in and so on, and kind of apply as much as possible. And I think that's what it's all about. It's all about having these conversations. We should be able, as a people, to have conversations and really bring it together. And that's what we're looking to do in our own way. And I know, David, you are doing this with your company, TTT. So thank you very much for joining us here at Conversation Inc. It really has been a pleasure. And until next time.
Thanks a lot for having me.
You are most welcome. So, guys, if you want to hear more of David's story, be sure to subscribe to Conversation Inc. on YouTube, on Facebook, and Instagram. And remember, you are able to go from DJ to CEO. All right, guys. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Nah, don't get so many people get it. You can't do this.
That's just to make sure that you know that people
get it. I was still recording. I'm so happy about that. That going in for sure.
Yeah, so people are there.
DJ,